joined by myself. Got Dan in the studio as well as producer Rochelle on the decks, getting it done. Before we talk to Carl, I've got to remind you guys about our giveaway for today, the code word #MEGA, which you can send in to 0491 064 669 to receive Bible answers, 923 of life's questions answered with simple, direct answers straight from Scripture. We want to give this one to you absolutely for free. Code word is #MEGA. We've got Kyle on the line with us.
Good morning, Kyle.
How are you going?
Good morning. Good morning. Who's Daniel? Who we got?
The big Dan Livingston.
The big Dan Livingston. No way.
Yes, he's hanging out with us, joining us.
I don't know if Australia understands how blessed they are this morning.
It's such a blessing to have you, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, we could have Justin, but we'll make do in this perfect storm, politics and prophecy update catch up. Oi, what's going on, man? What are we doing?
Things are getting spicy. Apart from the government getting involved in tech, you understand that these chips are the hottest property, computer chips, silicon, and Intel has been going downhill, losing a lot of traction to NVIDIA and to these other companies that are making gains in that space. Well, America's jumped in and said, I'm going to take 10% of your business for $8.9 billion. That's a $4 per share discount. But it just shows that America's getting serious about wanting to bring onshore a lot of this technology that's previously been offshored. Some would say by the globalists. And they're saying, no, America first, we want safe and secure technology, and America first, we're going to own some of your company. They're now the biggest shareholder. So they're prepping for a future where they don't want to be reliant on other countries. They want to be self-reliant rather than reliant on the globalists. Now,
this is in a context as well when we talk about chips, because this speaks to a geopolitical conflict. That is the thing that keeps Taiwan afloat, protected, and cashed up is their ability to, in country, make the best chips in the world. They have the best foundries. If they're, America is trying to extract that technology out of Taiwan, bring it onshore to the US, but then that leaves Taiwan in a really, really vulnerable state.
I'm sure they will continue to protect Taiwan. But if China wants to, it'll be Taiwan first, Australia second. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see that as part of Bible prophecy, and America has huge interests here as well. But it is interesting that they are wanting to save these big companies and be involved in them to help them make better decisions. And but then locally, at least in the Australian map, we've started to see raids on houses like people like John Bolton. This is the old NHA advisor, and basically, I'm looking here at a list of 38 arrests that were made of the Republicans, where Donald Trump was arrested, Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, well, now too, Carlos de Oliveira, Tom Barrack, Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows. There was a lot of people that were politically persecuted. But it's interesting that now that a couple of houses have been raided on the Democrat side for stealing national intelligence, they're saying that the Republicans are weaponizing justice, yet when the Democrats were doing it, it wasn't weaponizing justice. It was just nobody's above the law. So last week I was talking about this, the political swing, the pendulum swinging back and forth. And that's still happening very thoroughly, not just with arrests and weaponized justice that some like to call it, but also with the redistricting maps. And I've got a few percentages here for you.
We've got
the gerrymandering. Sorry. You've got Maine with a 36% Republican vote, but 0 seats. You've got Connecticut, 42%, 0 seats. You've got New Mexico, 46% Republican, 0 seats. New Hampshire, 48% Republican, 0 seats. And then that list is about 10 or 12 states long. But it just goes to show that, okay, we haven't seen this in the news recently. We haven't seen anybody complain about it recently. It's all been done under the sun, and this stuff has been manipulated time and time again to structure things for the Democrats as best as possible. And all of a sudden, when Texas decides to win 5 seats back by redistricting, or they get accused of, manipulating things in a bad way. But everything's already been manipulated as far as possible for the Democrats.
Yeah. And I think what's important about what you're saying here is like, not that, we've got the small defenseless Republicans, but what we're seeing here is that typically the Republicans were, standing and ordering themselves in a globalist fashion, standing with globalist agenda, that kind of thing. And the pushback against that globalism is, they're trying to do everything to stop it.
Mm. Yep. Well, they're basically just saying, no, hang on. We want to be America first. We want the people to actually have the vote. We don't want things to be artificially manipulated one way to achieve a different outcome. We want to represent the people properly. And so even California, for example, has a 38% Republican vote, but they only have 20% of the seats in the House. So in order to give people the correct vote, I would suggest there is going to be a lot more redistricting coming. There's already a few states talking about their new maps. And this could be ultimately a supermajority for the Republicans for a long time, because that's what I think you'll find the vote has been. We're still yet to see the news stories, let's say the justice coming for whether or not votes in the past have been manipulated and how did Joe Biden get 89 million votes, more than Barack Obama in his second term, coming back in. And so there's a lot of stuff still to come, but ultimately none of that is the dangerous thing. The dangerous thing is when the Christian nationalists make this about religion and start to not only enforce political laws, it's the religious laws that are going to be interesting. That's when we'll start to see things get spicy in religion land.
And now for us as Christians, I read articles every day from various different news sites, like particularly from Christian news sites. They're like, we're getting God back in the government, and the Christian influencers, we're getting God back in the government. God's not done with America. God's got great things on the horizons for the United States. But we're sitting here this morning saying, hey, that's not all it's cracked up to be. And that's not something we necessarily want.
Yeah. And there's some states that have even taken, like the 10 Commandments was on the wall in the school and they've taken that off and now they're trying to put that back on. And where do you stand on all of this, Dan? What would you like to see happen?
Oh man, separation of church and state. Yeah, I'm big on that. But look, that doesn't mean that the state needs to outlaw Christianity and prohibit schools from putting the 10 Commandments on the wall or having prayers in schools or whatever. It just means that they should really stay out of it. Like, if they want to do it, go for it. But that's, I mean, I've oversimplified a pretty complex issue. America is such a great nation because of its Christian roots and, the way that the founding fathers set it up with separation of church and state, but with a Christian background was the blueprint for a modern prosperous society in lots of countries around the world.
That's it. Well, the idea of government itself, in fact, comes from, Christian, Judeo-Christian tradition and values and the Bible itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll put it back to you, Kyle. You were describing, the risk of Christian nationalism and, all this gerrymandering and whatever. Like it's kind of, the pendulum swinging back and forth, and it's not really where the big issue is. But do you see the rise of religious persecution, etc., that's prophesied in the Bible? Do you see that as coming from the Republicans or the Democrats? What's your view on that?
It's very hard to know. I'd say we've seen from the Democrats a lot of anti-religion. We've seen, the bringing in of the things that are inherently evil, scripturally evil, and not biblical, and that we're told to stay away from. That has been what they have been championing. With all of the bathroom issues in the state that changed significantly. All of the laws that changed to bring equal rights for all kinds of beliefs in how many genders there are and what you can do with your gender. That stuff has come from the left. So it would seem as though the right are the ones that are going to bring the righteous justice. But I don't know. I'm not convinced. And I think I think ultimately it's going to be whoever the papal throne aligns with. I don't believe the Democratic Party can continue to exist in its current form. I think they will have to have some revival.
Yeah.
And I think that revival could come through a union with the papacy. But we live in fascinating times, and it's interesting to watch. Of course, right now, everybody will say, well, not everybody, but some will say that the Republicans are the evil ones because they're the ones that are going to force us into religious persecution. But yeah, I don't think it's going to happen this cycle. I don't think Donald Trump will be the last Trump. I don't think this will be
the last Trump.
I don't think this will be his thing that he'll go down with. I believe he's genuinely striving to be a good person, and ever since he got shot in the head, his ear got shot, I think he's been seriously considering his eternal salvation as well. And we talked about one of his quotes last week, wanting to get to heaven. But yeah, I don't think he's going to force everyone to go to his heaven with him.
Yeah. I love that quote. I don't think he's going to force everyone to go to his heaven with him. And that's the thing, because out of all the voices that I've heard say things about mandated religion and whatnot, Donald Trump has been the weakest. Donald Trump has been, out of a lot of people in the Republican camp and the Republican Party and Christian nationalism, he's someone that even just from between term to term was, up on stages saying, "Oh, well, guys, I'm not really a Christian, but I love Christianity. This is," and then as the election drew closer in 2024, praise God, all this kind of thing. He's been back and forth. He's businessman, but he's also a politician, and we've seen that politician side of him. He's a dude. He's a dude doing his thing. Should you love him? Should you hate him? That's not what we want to tell you. Yeah, but I think there is such a need at this time, and I guess where we unless there's other places to go. We've been talking about America today, but what we can see here is, hey, the only solution to these great sweeping worldwide problems is for you to personally to make a commitment to Jesus, to follow him no matter what, because you don't know what situation you're going to be in.
Hey, I think you raised an interesting point, if I can butt in, about the Democrats and Republicans kind of being, opposite each other. Like the Democrats are removing God and the Republicans are trying to reintroduce God in the picture. It kind of reminds me of a prophecy in Daniel 11, which is pretty obscure, but it's the king of the north and king of the south kind of at each other, and I don't see Daniel 11 and that prophecy describing one as being the savior and one as being the devil.
Ooh.
It's really the devil is using two opposing sides to bring about division and
yes.
And a constant conflict, and I kind of see that happening. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, and that's often what Justin talks about. It's a shame he can't be here to do his own show better, but he talks about, the globalists, and then the Christian nationalists, the capitalists coming in and, trying to shore things up to stabilize countries. Ultimately, there will be one very stable global world order, and it will be the strongest power, and it will be aligned with the papacy. And so, we can only speculate at this stage, and maybe we shouldn't speculate too much about which side that will be. We should just be ready for the fact that it is going to happen, and we need to warn the world about the three angels' messages before the second coming, because after the second coming, it's going to be a little too late.
Just a tad. And I love that you brought up the three angels' message there, because the call ultimately in the three angels' message is worship God in spirit and in truth, firstly, but then secondly as well, we live in an era of
it's fallen
of judgment, and these other religions, these other systems that we put our hopes into, I love what you said, they're fallen. God is calling us out of them.
And the world itself is fallen.
Yeah.
Like whether you're you're hanging your hat on the Republicans or the Democrats, they're fallen.
They're fallen. They're fallen. And just wind back the scale. We're living here in Newcastle, New South Wales. I'm a Newcastle boy, and I love my city, and I love where I live. But the people who run things and the systems that we've set up, hey, they're not going to do anything for us that Jesus can do for us. So, Kyle, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being with us and giving us some perspective into the political turmoil that we're seeing in the world right now.